Great. Um, so, Neve, I'll just jump on to yours there. The last call, the screenshots confirming funding. I think letters, or your letter of offer, your email of offer is enough. Um, uh, so in terms of qualifiers, today's chat will just be to hear more. I'm going to assume some of you were at the first chat or have had the opportunity to watch the video from the first chat, and that more questions have come up, and then that the other half of you that you didn't get time to go to the last chat and you're joining this one. It is the reason you're here. We got about 170 questions from the last chat, and we bunched them together under the three kind of big areas of one is context. Um, One is the qualifying criteria, the other is the arts practice, and the final one is um, where you might, what questions you might have if you get the basic income. So, the most frequently asked questions about qualifying criteria were split in two. One was um, what qualifies, and then how do I upload it? So I'm going to start with Breaking Tunes because that's our website and that's new. It wasn't a qualifying criteria for when, and that's going to let me answer a whole bunch of qualifying criteria questions. And then if there's more questions, maybe throw them in the Q&A, and then Gustavo and Stevie and Suzette are talking to each other about what's coming up that they know hasn't been in the previous one. So if you could maybe just until we're through these bits, hold your questions. And then if those questions aren't answered by my rambling, get your questions in then, and then we have about an hour and a half to go through all of them as well. So first of all, a lot of the questions like I'm in a full-time job, can I apply? My, I have variations of being in and not in music as full-time. The most useful information on all of this, and since we last spoke, the department themselves have updated their own FAQs to reflect this. Um, is how do you contextualize yourself in the basic income scenario? So who's it for? And it's for people who are currently building and active in practice, who want to develop that practice more, and in that context address the precarity of the work you're doing now around your music and making music and performing music and recording music and releasing music. It's how can this intervention best help you to keep doing that, and not have to distract away from your practice. But you do have to prove your current practice. So first thing which will answer about 30 questions that we got from the last one, which is where did the proof go from? So the proof needs to be 23, 24, or 25. So 26 will also help because that's the current year. So if you played Ireland Music Week in 2021, that's not proof of current practice. If you were funded with a bursary in 2019, you can't, that's not to say you're not in current practice, but you can't use that as evidence of your current practice. So it's they want to see, and similarly for those of you who are graduates, if your music course, if you if you graduate this year in 25 or in 24, then you can apply. Um, and and then the other thing to note there is your qualification has to be in your practice. So if you're a philosophy graduate and you're a musician, obviously that doesn't qualify you as a graduate. There are only 100 of the 2,000 places right across the sectors and genres of arts going to go to that a graduate program, if you like. So you have to be, you're doing a course that directly relates to your performance abilities. You're majoring in piano, you're studying the harp, you're doing a vocal songwriting degree, something that will relate directly to your practice. The easy ones then in terms of qualification are if you are an active musician in practice, you are getting your royalties collected by somebody. So you're either getting it collected by IMRO as a songwriter, you're getting collected by RAP as a performer, and I suppose addressing, there were quite a bit of questions came in around that, and I'll just clear that up for a lot of people. PRS and ASCAP won't be accepted. You need a letter from an Irish organization, and I'll go on to in a minute the memberships, who you can and can't, not who you can and can't be members of, which memberships they'll accept and which they don't. So in the case of IMRO and RAP, you can use IMRO for two things. One is you're a member of IMRO, and IMRO are sending out the same letter to everybody. You can just send in a request to them, they'll send it out. And RAP are doing the same. The second thing into proof of practice is you can also ask or access your most recent statement from IMRO to show that you've generated royalties, which again comes back to you are a musician in the world making music, making royalties from the music. So if you've played a gig, that gig is registered, and that gig is registered, and you collect royalties on it, and those royalties will show in your statement. So if you have anywhere over the last 18 months or 3 years, a royalty that shows you did gigs, a royalty statement that shows you did gigs or you got radio play, it's current practice, proof of current practice. So Joy, I'm getting to that. Breaking tunes is the other one. So with breaking tunes, what we're advising to do, and well, just echo what I said in the last call on your breaking tune. So what we saw is a lot of people creating breaking tunes profiles or reigniting dormant breaking tunes profiles, but there's no evidence of practice in them. So having the breaking tunes, it's like the IMRO one, having the breaking tunes profile on its own with no evidence that you're participating in music, or making it, or active, or recently active. So do make sure you use the whole gambit of breaking tunes. You can list your gigs on breaking tunes. You can put up your Bandcamp. You can put up your Spotify. There are ways that your breaking tunes front page can demonstrate that you're in active practice. So make sure you're uploading all of those. Upload current videos. Upload those. I am taking a quick look at the Q&A. Bandcamp, I would take as the rule of thumb that the department want to see an Irish website, because what they have stated from the outset is they will check everything with the people in the site. So they will check the IMRO statements with IMRO, the IMRO letters with IMRO, they'll check breaking tunes, and they say that at the outset, please know that any evidence you give us can be checked with the relevant bodies in Ireland. So you can't use your Bandcamp, but you can have your breaking tunes link with your Bandcamp visible in the screenshot. So you can have, I saw great, and I wish I had downloaded it, but a great example that an artist asked me during the week was, is this okay? There was a screenshot of the front of their profile, and the advice we gave on the last call was list all the band members in your breaking tunes profile at the very start, you know, Desktop is the name of my band, and the members of the band are Stevie, Gustavo, Suzette, and Angela. And list your names, and if you want to, because also you're using this as a profile for your practice, list them up top so that what the department sees is you're on Breaking Tunes, you have a Breaking Tunes URL. They can see that you have your Bandcamp and Spotify and stuff on the front page too, and they can see all the relevant people's names listed in the first line of your profile. So that's what that will qualify as the Breaking Tunes. That's one of the qualifiers. And if those are all visible in the screenshot that you're going to upload, that suffices. With Imro and with RAP, you get letters. With Ireland Music Week and with Music from Ireland funding, you can get letters. So you can email and ask for those to Gustavo at firstmusiccontact.com. Gustavo will throw his email in there into the Q&A, or Suzette can. And sorry, Gustavo's collecting the questions. Sorry, Gus, giving me loads of work. And throw them in there. So in terms of just going over that one more time, the context for this is it's aimed at people who are in practice. So it shouldn't be a scramble for you to be able to prove practice if you're in it. So a poster with your name on it, evidence that you've had a grant in the last 3 years. We had another question in from during the week that asked, do you have to upload the application for which you were successful? Just upload the email where you were offered the funding. The department will have if it's from Culture Ireland, the department will have the evidence of the people who are in that band. They have those names. They have them filed. That's in your application. So you don't need to upload the evidence of the application form. The last thing they want is this portal being just overlaid with literally too much information. So just the email offering you the funding is enough for that. Screenshots for gig posters are okay. Bookings from and also I suppose what I will keep saying here, and we might as well call a spade, because there are some questionable questions that we got, and I think just to be very clear and very honest with everybody, if you are applying for this, be aware that the department can and will check everything. So if you're putting in an offer of a festival slot, that it's demonstrable to the team who are unearthing eligibility that in fact you have not, because they can check, that's going to make you ineligible. So anything that's true and right can be used. For the evidence of IMRO membership, I think IMRO are doing the letters, so go with the letters, because that's what the department will be most used to seeing. So I think it's better get the RAP letter, get the IMRO letter, do the Breaking Tunes screenshot if you're in active practice. So I just want to take a moment there. So that's kind of those qualifying criteria. Remember, they're being checked. I also now want to address the geography bit. We had quite a lot of questions around, can I be based in France, but I'm Irish? No, not for this. And also just remember that all these questions aren't saying you're not an artist. It's just saying under the criteria for this particular funding and this particular strand, and just in particular to the basic income, you need to be living in Ireland and your practice needs to be predominantly in Ireland. It is okay to show as evidence of practice activity internationally, like our Music from Ireland letters, a if you're doing a month in the Centre in Paris as part, and you're doing a musician in residence, anything like that, absolutely will qualify. But your um, practice needs to be based in Ireland. We did get I'll just go back to the membership organizations, the qualifying membership organizations. They are IMRO, RAP, and Breaking Tunes are the ones. We got a question in earlier, would being a member of DADA, Disabled Artists and Disabled Authors, be a recognizable um, membership organization, or would there was another couple of questions came in from a collective that you can become a member of in Meath or Mayo, I think somewhere. There's no doubt that those are organizations. They're not organizations that the department has deemed a qualifier for this particular funding. Um, in relation to data, I did actually send that question into the department just before we came on, and the answer was that their membership criteria didn't. Hang on. Uh, there isn't a professional membership structure, and that the department recognizes data as an organization, but there isn't a quantifiable membership structure within that organization. So that would be a no for this. And so would say your members of like an initiative or members of a collective where you all work together or a co-op, um, that that doesn't suffice. So the rule of thumb is if it's not on their list, it sounds like a bouncer. If it's not on the list, you're not getting in. But it is that simple. They're being really, really clear about what does and doesn't qualify. So I think where you can, and because you can do a mixture of three, do the ones you're confident that you can upload and be confident behind. Um, the arts practice, then, I suppose one of the most common questions that we got were, I'm in full-time position. There was someone who's full-time position in a bank, um, left the music industry 6 or 7 years ago, wants to use this as a opportunity to come back to music as a full-time pursuit. Um, that won't qualify because you can't demonstrate current practice. So you could have had a Breaking Tunes profile 7 years ago, but it will show that you were dormant. And so you have to be, the rule of thumb there is you have to be in current practice. So I suppose, taking the BIA hat off and putting the FMC hat on, if you are returning to practice, start to build it in the next 3 years so that you could then make it permanent. It's obviously not ideal, and obviously you left music because, as all of us will know, and why we were so vocal and present and driving basic income is it doesn't pay to be a musician, let's face it. And that's why this is such an important initiative. But in those situations, if you've been out of your practice, so you haven't played a gig, you haven't been writing, you haven't been recording, all of that, if you haven't been doing that for 3 years, then that's not going to qualify you this time. So I hope that's clear. Again, back to the geography, you have to be resident in Ireland to qualify. You have to show your proof from Irish-based organizations. So membership of international collection societies, all of that won't suffice. Again, it doesn't mean you can't do that as an artist, but for this particular funding, it won't qualify you. And the third piece then is what's the difference between what qualifies you and what you can and can't do once you get it. So you cannot be in full-time other employment and get the basic income. You can't qualify for basic income by being in Ireland now, but leaving in a year. They have laid out that they will check your eligibility every year. So they'll check through tax receipts and through questionnaires and everything else to check if your practice is still based in Ireland. Now, it doesn't mean you can't go on a tour and come home, but you have to be here and working for the entire time of the 3 years that you're on the basic income. So if you're planning to move country in 6 months, um, and you thought this might help with the move and support you as you move, that won't qualify. You will be taken off it. And you will also, if you do get it and any of your information that you gave proves to be untrue, or that they can prove you left the country before you said you did and your practice is no longer in Ireland, they will look for you to pay back the monies they have paid you. Um, or if you can get offered it, and then if you think about it and you don't want it, you can refuse it as well. Um, so those options are still available to you. I'll just pause for a second. I'm feeling that a lot of the questions that were up there have, Suzette, you've marked them as kind of answered because of the context. Is there anything coming up that we haven't addressed yet?
Well, there's just questions with different nuances to it that you may have touched on the subject, but they're asking more specific to, Um, so some of them, yeah, I've clicked as answered live. Some of them I'm sure I know the answer, but I just wanted to double check.
Mhm.
But just say, for example, this one, if you are an artist across a number of mediums, like if you're a musician and novelist, can the evidence come from both? So I think that's no, you need to apply under one strand. Is that?
You need to pick one, and
Yeah.
that's if you read through the FAQs as they've been updated, that particular question came up a lot. I haven't been into the application form because I and I'm not an artist, and I think, as far as I know, and from the clarification that we got, you have to pick a practice. But I don't know if multidisciplinary is a drop down in the menu. So if your art is truly multidisciplinary, you should be able to apply under that. But if you are lucky enough to be talented in more than one area, I think you have to pick the area. And if it were me, I would pick the one that I have most proofs available to me in. Because not because it qualifies you quicker, but if you have more proofs, that means that your activity and your active practice right now is in music. So that's why I would do that. Um,
Do you need a tax clearance cert before filling out the application?
you need a tax clearance cert if you get selected
Selected, yeah.
and before getting paid. So all of that, a lot of the revenue, those questions come after you get selected.
Yeah.
I just saw one there. I played Eurosonic in 2023. I just have to, because the minute I said it, I was like, that's not 3 years. I think is it 23, 24, 25 that we're giving the letters for and not 24, 25, 26. I'm just going to double check that. No, 23 onwards. Yeah, sorry, I
I
have it
think it's
here in my
23
notes
onwards.
from
Yeah.
the department. So for that, question for Eurosonic, just email Gustavo at firstmusiccontact.com. If you were named in the funding, we gave you funding and we can give you a letter. So just email Gustavo with the information of the band you played with. We can check it against the receipts they submitted for that event, and we can issue you with the Music from Ireland letter as proof. The artist exemption one I'm just spotting there has been tackled on the FAQs, so have a look. But I think a letter from revenue saying you have artist tax exemption, um, once you get that, you have it, I think. The only question I would have around that is um, it doesn't demonstrate practice in the last 3 years. I know that's been addressed on the website, so have a quick look, but we'll take that one away. And if you wouldn't mind sending us an email, info@firstmusiccontact.com, and give us your details, we can get straight back to you on that one. Um, there's one here on how do you show proof of a recent single release. You have an ISRC code. Um, so I would think that would be evidence of a release. Um, what's the situation around the culinary arts? I'm afraid I have absolutely, Charles, no idea on that. And if it's multimedia combining food, music, and photography, again, my advice would be to pick the one that you have most evidence of. And I don't know if there's a culinary arts drop down. I would, it's not in the Arts Act, so I would doubt culinary arts is in the Arts Act. Um, eh,
Someone's just saying here, so you shouldn't send stuff from 2026. No, you
you
can, but
can,
we were
but
just
you can
talking
go
about,
back as far as 23. So when they're
yeah,
talking about 3 years, it's 23, 24, 25, but 26 will suffice because it's current practice.
yeah.
If you own a business but draw no wage or profit, can you receive? There is no problem with earning a wage once you're earning a wage in your arts practice. Um, so if you own a restaurant and that's what you don't take the wage from, and you work full time at the restaurant, then you're not in current active music practice in their definition. Um, so is there anything if I was working with Roisin, it's not if you it's not whether you're working full time or not, it's whether a big chunk of that work is in your arts practice or if you also do your arts practice alongside it and you can show current arts practice. And I know I'll keep saying that sentence, but it genuinely is the best measurement of it. Someone's just asking there, do I need to quit my current job outside music to be eligible to apply? I've been active in music but need to pay bills. And this is exactly what I mean. If you can demonstrate, say your 9 to 5 pays the bills, but your 5 to 9 is gigs and recording and releasing and getting played on radio, once you can demonstrate the arts practice, that's what they're looking for. It's designed, for people who combine their arts practice with other ways to pay an income, and there is an absolute agreement that that's why it's needed, is so that people can spend more time on their practice instead of other jobs. But you have to be able to show that alongside of that job that you're doing for your work, either that work is related to your arts practice, or you have proof of your arts practice continuing after 5 o'clock. So, there are plenty of teachers that we've worked with who are in bands that showcased at South by, that played Ireland Music Week, so it's once you can demonstrate that your arts practice worked alongside um, your other job, then the normal qualifications apply. Do you have a break in tunes? Are there gigs listed there? Did you play Ireland Music Week in 23, 24, 25? Did you get funded to go to international events? Did you win an agility award? And have you played gigs? Have you played? So the demonstrations are still the same. And if you are in a full-time job and then get this, then there will be other qualifiers and questions about whether you can, but I wouldn't leave a full-time job in order to apply because you can demonstrate your arts practice if you are currently working as a musician as well on top of your other job. Um, I'm currently recording an album. How do I show proof of current practice? If you're currently recording an album, sometime in the last 3 years, you've done a gig, you've done a tour, you've done a festival, you've played a showcase. It's and it's not, it doesn't have to be right now. That's why they're giving the scope of the last 3 years. It's to demonstrate current practice, and they have decided to put that frame of 3 years um, on as that. Um, Tom, would screenshots from my website work as proof? I would think so once the proofs are like in recognized venues. So if your website is like DeBarra's, Collins, Whelan's, Spirit Store, wherever you're based. So if they're listed in venues that are recognizable, because this is the other thing. The people who are um, running this in the department also work in other areas of the department. So some of them work in the nighttime economy, some of them work in Culture Ireland. So there will be a huge knowledge base here that will come to play on their there will be a huge knowledge of, the department also have the small venues fund. So they'll know and recognize the venues that you're talking about. Community events, what can do? Concerned about their language, about recognized spaces. Again, Joy, that's about recognized. If you're in current practice, there are places where commercial gigs happen, and that's what they're trying to measure. Um, uh, and I think it's then there is enough of a knowledge in there that the recognized venues, will be a recognition that as they're assessing these, they'll be thinking of commercial venues for the people FMC works with. They'll be thinking of slightly different venues for the people IMC, the Improvised Music Company, who work predominantly with jazz. There'll be a different set of venues that would be known to them, like art centres and stuff, where more classical and ensembles and traditional music will play. Um, so there'll be a very wide read from them as to what those recognizable venues are. Um, does this count as well? Rick, I'm just looking at yours. If I'm a musician in a band and the proof is in emails addressed to the band without my name mentioned, this count as proof. This is where I think the fact that they give you an opportunity to put 3 proofs in. So if along with a gig you have your Breaking Tunes link and you're listed in the Breaking Tunes and your band name and the Breaking Tunes band name match, then that's going to be, I think, enough for them. What's the best type of proof to use for receipt of an agility award? Your letter of offer should suffice there. Your email of offer, your letter of offer from the Arts Council saying you have been successful. Again, they will be able to check those against the Arts Council's records. They have access to each other. Sweet. Sorka, I'm just looking at your specific question there. I would think if you go on to, I know ITI have done a fact sheet on this, but if you go on, I think there can be very similar questions to yours on the FAQs. I think you might need a letter from the theatre or from the theatre company stating that you're in the ensemble, or if they can point you to where the ensemble is listed somewhere and to prove you're in it. Again, theatre, not my area of expertise. Um, uh, that would be there. There's a couple of questions coming up here that didn't come up the last time, so we're going to follow them up for you again. Siobhan, if you could send us your email to info@firstmusiccontact.com, Suzette, if you wouldn't mind sending Siobhan Lynch there our email. I don't know if a letter from a PR company uh, is preferred. Um, Again, it's something like an IMRO royalty statement is going to be far easier to prove than that. So I would encourage you all to go the easier route. If you're in a situation where you've hired a PR person, you got played on radio, then you're definitely a member of IMRO. And that's a far easier route, I think, to unless you're doing it alongside that. Um, a but album cover is gonna work there as well, and with sleeve notes with your name on the back of it. Um I have a rolling con Nick, I have a rolling contract for services with South Dublin Council. It's a letter confirming this proof. Um Nick, the rolling contract would have to be in relation to your musicianship. So it depends on the role you have with St. Dublin County Council. If your role is musician in residence, then yes, a letter will suffice once it states that your activity um, is related to your arts practice. I hope I'm not saying arts practice enough, and then I hope I am saying arts practice enough, because that's what it all comes back to. It comes back to if you are, Nick, you're saying music facilitator there, but is your work as is are you facilitating because you're an active musician? And that's, I think, where they might look for the other proofs. Um, the proof options are categorized three: income, membership, and active practice. Do you need one of each? No, you can have, and that's come up before. You can have three. You could have, like, if you got the agility grant in 23, 24, and 25, that's enough for all three. I think, again, that is stated again and again. I don't think I'm misreading it. Go back, and I would say take a read of, because so we'll feed back into what came here as well. So if there's anything that has come up here that we feel isn't addressed in their FAQs, that's where they ourselves, other agencies, are doing meetings with their stakeholders as well. So that's where their FAQs are coming from, and coming from emails they're receiving. So I think you'd be hard pushed to not find an answer on their own site. I'm going to keep pointing you to that. Um, can I use, for eligibility, can I use Breaking Tunes, IMRO membership, and proof of studio expenditure? Da, 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 da. I think so, Rowan. Yeah, I think that those three should suffice. Um, in terms of, again, a recognizable studio. Um, I will quadruple check that for you. But that should work. Doesn't matter that only 10% of my income in the last year has come from art. I've been on social and recording an album. Just once you can, and again, I don't want to confuse people with the idea of practice and income, because the whole reason for this is that the industry isn't paying anybody enough. No, none of the arts industries are paying anybody enough. So it's time and focus of your professional life. They want to see that it's as an artist. Um, and I suppose in conversation, what's come up is, if your motivation is um, your your approach to your music is that you have a full-time job and you make music because it makes you happy, which I totally understand, that would be viewed in the area of hobbyist. So your music making is what you do to feed your soul, but it's not the main focus of your financial aims, and you have another career going alongside it. It's probably not for you. If you're in a full-time covers band and you make a fine income out of that, but you don't write any original work, it's not for you. If, however, you are making music all of the time and making money in another area, or or you are lucky enough to make money from your music, That's who this is for. It's for people whose profession is I am Angela Dorgan, I am an artist. And here's my proof because I've been gigging this many years. I am signed to this label. I am blah, 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 or whatever those proofs are, or I get royalties, I get regular airplay, whatever those proofs are, they should be easy to prove if you're in current arts practice. How you balance up your paying the bills, whether that's through social welfare or a disability payment or an agility grant or a part-time job in an unrelated field, your focus should be, I am an artist, I am a musician. Um,
A couple of questions around the ISRC
yeah.
code. Is it the only acceptable form
No,
of proof?
no. If you look through, I just thought that would be a quick one. But you could, if you have a cover art with, back and front with your name on the back, if you have evidence of it being played on radio, if you have if the track is on and that snapshot, like you're breaking tunes, not to like blow our own trumpet, but your breaking tunes can tell a multitude because if that single you have out is also named on your breaking tunes profile, that's again if your proofs of practice are talking to each other, it paints a far wider picture of it. So it's not essential, but commercial release, again, having your breaking tunes and your Spotify up there, although you can't give Spotify as your qualifier membership, the fact that they can see a Spotify profile and a breaking tune or a Bandcamp profile on your front page of your breaking tunes means they can see active practice. Like what I will say here as well is they proactively want you to be qualifying here. There's no one in there looking for an aha moment. They want as many people to qualify as possible. They did the same in the pilot because it's in their interest to get a real picture of if we get an opportunity to enhance this version round, the pilot was to get this made permanent. We now want a permanent for everyone all the time is the next kind of big if we had fairy dust. So we all need to be collecting data for that. And this is the government's own way of being able to collect the data of the real amount of people who are in real need and who are like not able to give 100% to their practice because of income precarity. That's who they're targeting. So if that's you, apply. They want you to apply. They want you to qualify. But there has to be a way to make sure you are a practicing um, artist. I've just seen a thing here on busking. The challenge with busking is that it's not a recognizable, when they go back to recognizing venues and also in the large, and I'm not going to get into specifics here, but most buskers play covers, and that wouldn't be considered by them or by the Arts Act as active personal practice. You're not created, that would be viewed in the same way as if you're making a living as a covers musician and you're making or a wedding band or whatever, that would fall into that practice. That falls outside the definition of the Arts Act. Is there anything we're not? There's an Irish radio play statement from Radio Monitor. Um, I haven't, I'm just reading out that does an Irish radio play statement from Radio Monitor serve as proof? They have specifically said they would like to see radio play in your IMRO statement. So if it's on Radio Monitor, it's in IMRO. So the safer option there, I think, would be IMRO. Get your IMRO, your most recent IMRO statement. I'm just looking at anonymous attendee. Hi, all, Angela. I'm an electronic music composer and I have IMRO and Breaking Tunes membership in my tracks list release. I also, my music, even I start promoting my music like a viewer because I don't, but I'm not a DJ. I do not approve concert. What? Thierry, I'm assuming you're living in Ireland, first of all. Um, if you have if you're a composer, you could say you have made something for TV or made something for a short film or an ad or whatever. That contract, that composer agreement would be good. Evidence of, while you're not the performer, evidence of your work being performed might suffice there. Could you send that as a question in to us and we can double check it for you? Info@firstmusiccontact.com. Um, but let me check that for you. But you could do evidence of a commission too. Um, the next one, sorry, logged on late. Will this meeting be recorded? It will be recorded. We'll send it out to everybody on this call probably tomorrow. Thierry, it's info, at first, FIRST, music, MUSIC, contact, CONTACT.com. You can find it on our website.
I
Um,
also typed it out in the comments. It's in the
Great.
comments a few times on the answered questions if people are looking for it.
Yeah, if up on there, there's 63 questions, there's 42 answered. So if you're just jumping on now and you think your question might have been answered before, just maybe jump into the answered section. Um, Fiona Kennedy, hi Fiona. Angela, can you put two documents together as one proof, IMRO statements and IMRO letter, or does your IMRO royalty statement alone act as proof? I think you can use your statement as income and your membership as, so IMRO could be split in two there, and that would be a great way to getting to the three. Um, so I would do that. So that your royalty statement could be the income one, and the IMRO membership could be your inactive arts practice. Um, I know that evidence of gigs and breaking tunes, you can upload two like pages, two documents. So if it all doesn't fit on one page, you can upload a second page. Um, would letters of proof for playing? Yes, just they're going to recognize if you're on a poster is always going to be better, but a booking letter from a recognized, it can't be if your booking is from galwayfolkfest@gmail.com and that's not Galway Folkfest's email, that's really easy for them to check. So just make sure it's from, and I know some bookers will send you the offer from their own email. It would be great if they could send it um, in time. Someone had just said there the IMRO thing is down. I'm not surprised. I think Breaking Tunes came under a bit of strain this week as well. I would just try back with them. Um, with a web link showing the program for the festival to my show. I would walk them all the way to that and just give them the page because they'll be able to see in the URL where it is or what it is. Bring them directly to your page. They won't, as far as I could see, they're not going to be they're not going to be hitting links. As far as I can see, they want it all has to be searchable by and keepable documents as well. Um,
And also the
Rory,
IMRO,
sorry,
just the IMRO query we can't answer on IMRO's behalf. We
no,
assume so, but that would be email them and ask
yeah,
their, yeah.
they have a membership area on their website as well.
Um,
Eileen, if you could give us Suzette will
yeah, I've been answering a good few people have
yeah.
asked this. It's email info at first. I'll type the email in
No,
again.
sorry, I'm just looking at Eileen Tackney's
Actually,
question there. Is it possible to get the recording for the
yeah,
last
that's
one?
been asked.
Yeah,
That's what I meant.
yeah.
That one's been asked a few
So
times.
we
And
have your
yes,
email here, Eileen. So what we'll
well, no,
do
just I'm
is,
saying if people just email us to request it and we'll just send
okay,
you the
perfect.
link.
So
Yeah.
Eileen, email info@firstmusiccontact.com. My stage name is Naomi, but Naomi, just on that, if alongside your album, you're also putting a Breaking Tunes or an IMRO, just make sure somewhere on the line, it would be good there to put Breaking Tunes, naming known, also known as Namey, and that qualifies that. And evidence of expenditure. Rory, that would be questionable for me. Evidence of expenditure on studio equipment for session work, because again, that could be for amateur practice. So the more in the real music industry, in the real world that your evidence is, and again, if you're using it and you're spending money on it and you're recording music and you're pursuing that as a career, you should be able to have that evidence available.
I know you've answered this one, Angela, but it came up a few times relating to can people use invoices for music teaching as proof? And I think you've been saying it has to be part of your active practice, or is that something we need to check into more?
I think I might just do one. I've asked this question about four different ways.
Yeah.
So I think I just want to, I'd rather be sure to be sure. So
Yeah.
again, if you could ask us that question directly to info at,
Yeah.
so we can bring that for you and come back to you. I've performed with recognized artists and recognized venues, but I'm not named in the posters or programs for these events. Any advice on how I can use these as proof? Um, I'm not sure if that's if you're a session musician and contracts, if you've been hired as a session musician, an email from that band to you, hiring you, plus a membership of RAP where you can join as a member, should be sufficient. And Rory, I've just answered that there, yeah. Um, um, Posters for festivals that are happening after the deadline can be proof. If it's proof of your active practice, like I would say so. And so let me double check it again. You also can email, if we don't come back to you, you can email basic income for arts at, let me get that actually, the
Oh,
the
good.
department's one. Um, but yes, if it's evidence of active practice, then I think it should qualify. Um, Not named, okay. Those the RAP and IMRO are two separate proofs. Um, would a Ticketmaster page for an upcoming show be a good proof better than the gig poster? I would say either or. Click into the page, make sure you're named and that there's somewhere else in your evidence that you have evidence that you are in that band. Um, would an invoice from an individual and not a company? Again, that would depend on what you were hired for. And it has to be for your arts prize. So if they were an individual who owns a venue and they booked you to play a gig, yes. But that's maybe too wide a question. If you want to get more specific, maybe in an email us info@firstmusiccontact.com. Just for everyone, there's a reason we did the second seminar today. We still have 13 days. Um, I would encourage you all to keep going to the department's own website. They will be updating with our questions, with other questions, and their answers to them. Um, I would also encourage any of you who do need an Ireland Music Week or a Music from Ireland letter from us, get them in now. Um, there's a lot coming in. We want to be sure we get to them. I will do a cut-off. Please don't send us a request any later than May 10th, because we can't guarantee to get them back to you in time. So if you're looking for a proof letter from us, if you played any of the international events with us over the last 3 years,
I think May
or if you
10th
played,
is a Sunday, so May
oh,
8th.
sorry, so May
Great.
8th, Friday,
Yeah.
thanks,
That's all
Suzette.
good. All good.
Friday, May 8th,
Hmm.
to have that in, um, because we don't want to leave you just panicking, but May 10th, 11th, 12th is going to be too late to ask us for that proof. Um, Jimmy, as a recent graduate release music, is it better for me to apply as an RG or is there a difference with a general application? Jimmy, the only thing I would say there is the recently graduated artists, there's only 100 spots, which means there's 1900 for others. So if you have proof of active practice while you were in college, um, I don't know how to advise you to play the numbers there really. It's down to if you are currently in active practice and this is the intervention that makes all the difference to you, like it was designed to, these qualifiers should come so easy to you. So whichever ones that you can arrive to quickest should point you in the direction of which one you should apply for, Jimmy. I know that's a non-answer, but it's the best advice I can give you. Martin, yes, it's being recorded and we'll send it on to everybody who registered. Um, uh, Played your roots are showing as an official artist this year. Should I ask for a letter or screenshot? I think a letter would be great, or just a poster where you're listed, whether that's on their website. Again, avoid sending a link to your roots are showing and want them to do all the work. Get the page where your band is listed, and then have your other proof where the people in that band are listed.
You people asking, yeah, I know this, can you upload a number of proofs for each thing? As in like, can you use IMRO twice as a proof? Do you know?
So that has come up earlier. So you could have IMRO membership as one proof, and then you could have your royalty statement. So you could get your membership letter, and then you could have your royalty statement as another proof. The same way as if you got an agility award this year and you also got a touring award and you also got a music bursary, all three of them will qualify.
And
Those would be your three.
is it okay to have multiple proofs in one PDF?
I don't know yet, Jackie. I haven't been into the form. I would say that will be answered if you go over to the department's FAQs. I would imagine that's well answered there. Um, and I think if the multiple proof is in one area, like for instance, if you're sending breaking tunes and it goes on to the second page, then um, both pages can be in the same PDF. I'm not sure where on the application form that you log into, if you're asked to do them in sequence or if you're asked to upload them all. Um, I personally, if it was me, would feel it would be safer if they've asked for three things. I would love to be visualizing three PDFs. Here's my three. Make it easy for them. I've performed. We did that, I think. Um, Joy, the IMRU royalty statement goes, it's every 6 months. So if you had a 6 month one, it would be great. I think that's what they're issuing anyway. Would an invoice from an individual, not a company that hired me to do services? Again, you'd have to be named. It would have to be it would have to be for your practice. Is the agility award, which was awarded in 23, okay as proof? Yes. So if we've been told we can go back as far as 2023 for Music from Ireland funding or to have played Ireland Music Week. So yes, an agility award in 2023 is proof. I've performed a significant amount of bookings at Dublin's Mansion House across the last year. Does a letter from them count when it's not an arts venue as such? I would think you're into territory there. Um, uh, I would use those other proofs. They would definitely be better proofs. The Mansion House, although people know gigs happen there, they're not typically promoters. Um, I know I'm like, it would not be a lovely venue for promoters to use. Got into my head as alternative venue for Ireland Music Week. Put that in our list, Suzette. Um, Jimmy is applying as an RGA the better option. I couldn't make that call for you. That would be um the reason behind the RGA is um the department want to support people from emerging right up to breaking through. And that's why they go over the 3 years. So that would be a personal decision, I think, for you to make. Does credit on recording CD digital as an engineer? Engineers and producers, Rick, unfortunately don't qualify under the current Arts Act. An artist has to be creating an original work and the original IP. So a sound engineer and producer would, in this case, be considered an arts worker, um, like a set or a stagehand or a lighting designer. Unfortunately, those an engineer, as far as I know, an engineer would not count, and neither would a producer. How do I prove I'm signed to a record label? Snapshot of your contract would be enough, or a letter from your record label on headed paper, such and such, and name you as a person are currently under contract to such and such. What was your total individual income? Is it total income or total profit after expenses for that year? Because one year I made a loss as I recorded an album. I mean, in this question is not um a qualifier. It's just to get a feel for where you are in your income. So whatever you consider it as, like, what I would do is if your income was 100 grand and your expenditure was 90, then the income you're paying yourself, because it's you they're talking about, what did you pay you? I would just take what you paid you out of the income, as that. And performing my songs are working towards trying to get it. Sorry, Suzette, could you scroll up there? I'm only getting the second half of that top question. Performing my songs at present, but working towards trying to get a recording or publishing deal.
Sorry, who's it by? I scrolled up to which.
And I'm just seeing it here.
Yeah,
Performing. I can't scroll. I can't seem to scroll. Oh, I can't. Sorry.
that's
Singer-songwriter
okay.
currently in studio recording original songs, have YouTube videos, IMRO member, not performing my songs at present, but working towards trying to get a recording or publishing deal. Yes, you would qualify. You have an IMRO membership. You have your YouTube videos are evidence of practice. So yeah, you should make Breaking Tunes profile and put up some of your songs. I think that would demonstrate active. I assume that proof of receiving 3 Culture Ireland grants in the last 3 years, for example, 2 in 26 and 1 in 25. Yes, it does count as three. Someone is very kindly put in there. We saw that happening in real time. Immoral royalty statements are currently unavailable for viewing and download on their website. I'm sure they've seen that, and I'm sure they're going to get to that. And I'm sure the reason why it is everybody is trying to get at it. Um, Theory, another question. I uploaded my Embro membership proof, my Breaking Tunes membership proof, and my music distributor statement proof, but I'm just wondering if I should upload my home studio invoices. Thierry, could you send that to us as a question? Because that's slightly out to the side of what I would be able to answer. So send us that as a question to info@firstmusiccontact.com. We'll forward it on to the department. There is a form asked for evidence of royalties from your writing work. RAP don't collect for writing work, it's only IMRO, so it would be your IMRO statement. And RAP will give you royalties for your performance work. Answer this, what was your total? Yep, we said that. Having never received any art funding now. Federica, I'm not sure if that's a question or a statement. Having never received any art funding in Ireland is a discriminatory for eligibility.
I think it is having never received it a
Oh yeah, a
discriminant.
question. Great. Thanks, Federica. It's not a disqualifier. It just means it's if you haven't received. it's if you have received the funding, it's proof of income, proof of practice. But there are other ways to do it, and I think that's the way that they have set up to make sure there's multiple ways you can qualify here. Getting a grant is one of them. If you don't have evidence of getting a grant, it's not a disqualifier. There are other qualifiers. I hope that answers your question. Again, how do I prove I'm signed to a record label? The record label needs to be recognized, and a letter on headed paper from the record label should suffice. Liam Moran, does a screenshot of an album review in Hot Press website sufficient for proof of work reviewed in the press? It should do. It should be okay. Your name, again, it would be great if your name was there. Um, engineer and producer, we've done that. How do I distinguish? Um, there's the anonymous, how do I distinguish if a label is recognized? I mean, it's if you're currently in the music industry and it's a recognizable label and we know it and you know it, then it's recognizable. If it's a label nobody's heard of and they have no other releases, I suppose it's the same as a venue that isn't recognized as a music venue. Um, um, so that's kind of what I would say there. But a letter from your label, again, they'll check it. They'll go onto the label's website and see are you on the roster. So it's once it's legit, put it in, is what I would say. I love Joy's. Side note, got a good giggle on if the label needs to be recognized, could have saved me 5 years of troubles on a fake label. I love it, Joy. Um, Maeve, I think what you're asking there is would a letter from a review on Bandcamp be suitable as proof? Um, Membership on Bandcamp isn't. Are you talking? Bandcamp isn't really recognized as like somewhere to get your music reviewed. So my advice there would be if there's an alternative way to do a proof, I wouldn't take a chance on one you weren't sure about. And I do know that international websites aren't where they want your proof to come from. They want to prove current Irish practice. So I think if you have an Irish one, that's going to be better if you have an alternative way to prove. Does it matter if my record label is based in the UK? No, it doesn't. Just that your practice is here, you're released here would be great if that could be maybe added in the letter. Are all forms of proofs valued equally, or is there some that would be absolutely not? Once you qualify, you qualify. There's no level of these qualify better than these. Once it qualifies you, everyone goes into the same ticket drum at the end for the 2000 to be selected. So no. And this is something I think that the department made sure to do, that there is no a this isn't a kind of like a regular grant where there are criteria are there's a word I'm searching here now in my head, but it's 5:10 on a Thursday and I can't find it. But it's not competitive in that nature. Qualifying is qualifying is qualifying. It doesn't matter how you qualify, you just need three. And again, I will keep coming back to it. They're trying to have as many people qualify for this as they can. So if your thing is legit, then if your demonstration is legit and it's real and you consider yourself to be in active practice, then you should have no concerns about your qualifying criteria. Is Breaking Tunes better than Bandcamp? Now, that's a philosophical question, anonymous attendee. I would say Breaking Tunes is the best website out there because it's our website. I know you're asking in the context of this qualifier, I would say Breaking Tunes is easier because I know they're going to check with us. And you can show you're on Bandcamp with your Breaking Tunes proof. And you can list the name. So it's a great quick way. And also we work with them as a resource organization anyway. So we're going to be able to let them know straight away, click onto your thing, view your active practice. Yes, this art is an active practice. Easy. Um, so yes, on both counts, break insurance is better than Bandcamp. Also, Bandcamp is a fantastic website, and Bandcamp Friday is something you should all spend your Fridays on and buy music and t-shirts and vinyls from each other because that's what it's all about. If I have been getting airplay on community radio station and no payment was received, can a letter from the DJ work as proof? In that situation, I would say the fact that you're an IMRO member would be a better proof than an email from the radio station. We covered that, the engineer and producer. Once you qualify and you're with everyone else who qualifies, is one selected by the look of the draw? Cody, yes, is the short answer to that. It's the selection process is directly related to the number of, so the more musicians who applied, the more musicians will get it. It's overseen by KPMG, as far as I know, or the pilot was. Um, uh, I worked on designing the pilot and getting this into the um and the current NCFA got it into permanency, which is a huge achievement. I think it's probably the fairest way to do it. My dream is that when it starts to demonstrate that it pays for itself, everybody will get on this and everybody will stay on it forever until they don't need it. And that's my dream. And until we have that perfect one, this is, the process that we'll just have to demonstrate our practice until we get there. Um, but yes, it's weighted in terms of the normal criteria of the department. So their EDI policy, which is equal geography, equal gender, equal representation of culture, um, and then I think the only other weight is a ratio equivalence of the number of applicants. So, for instance, the pilot was 712 visual artists and 518 musicians, and then the rest were lower down than that. For successful applicants, when does the scheme begin? I've said this 800 times and now it's fallen out of my head, but I think September. Am I remembering that right? Can Gus or Stevie or Suzette type that in there and check? But I think September is the first payment. So regarding the IMRO membership letter, do you request online and is it emailed or posted to you? You'll have to ask IMRO that. But I think you can just go on and they have IMRO royalty statement will do RAP royalty statement or a letter from either of them saying you're a member and a live performance contract. Yep, all three of those would qualify. Do you have the email address for BIA to send the queries to?
Stevie is looking that up at the moment, so if we don't get it on the call, we'll include it in the email to everyone post
Yeah,
call.
I actually think I have it here.
No worries.
Yeah, so it's if somebody could write this in.
Yeah, I'll write it in.
Yeah, it's basic income for the arts, all one word,
Yeah,
at ccs
yeah,
dot gov
yeah.
dot ie.
Okay. Basic income for the arts at ccs.gov.ie.
Yeah.
Okay,
Mhm.
thank you.
So we're at 5:15. Um, I think we've asked and answered. I just look at the um open 3 areas of personal income. So I'm just looking at Max Greenwood's here. As I understand it, three areas of practice and forms of evidence need to be provided. Income, active practice, and membership. Music generation, educator income is mentioned on the department website, who I work for as a creative musician. Great. Writing, music, and collaboration, exactly. But I would imagine IMRO rap statements detailing income from radio play of my original music would be better. Again, there is, as far as um, I'm concerned. So what I would not concern myself with there, Max, is how low or high in any given 6 months your IMRO income is. It's just to demonstrate you're in receipt of income. So they're acknowledging airplay. It's not how many plays you got, it's that you're active in the music industry, so you got an airplay. Um, no, you don't. One statement is enough. Your most previous is always really good. And the active practice, and that's exactly what I was talking about. If you were hired as a musician by a county council or by a music generation, and your activity was, say, you're a songwriter and you were teaching songwriting, that absolutely counts as how you're supporting your active practice because it's in your area of active practice, which is songwriting. So that's um, exactly it. Pauline Garcia, I teach guitar at a local family resource centre. Would invoices and a letter from the centre? Yes, it's a job and you're playing guitar and that's what you do as active practice. Again, your other proofs should demonstrate that your guitar playing, that you're writing original music and you're just not a guitar, not just a, but that your sole job isn't that you're a guitar instructor and you don't write any original music for a guitar or use that guitar in a band, if that makes sense. Sorry, I've gone too far back there because I've just seen we've answered most of those. Anonymous, for proof of expenditure on practice, would you send a group of invoices? Yep, I think that would be good. Do screenshots count for IMRO membership? As far as I know, you'd have to ask IMRO, but as far as I know, IMRO are doing letters, so I think that's a safer way to do it because it seems to be the most common one that they're receiving. Um, does proof of separate gigs and concert count as the three sets of required proofs? Um, I think one needs to be membership. Or what I would advise, it's not will it or won't it. I think what gives them the better view of you as someone in active practice, and that's if you're playing gigs and you're a member of IMRO, or if you're playing gigs and you're on breaking tunes, it means you're in the industry in active practice. So I wonder, is that a better rounded way to finish off the application? Um, for me, Suzette, these are starting to repeat.
Hmm.
So I wonder, do we uh, for today finish up there and send everybody the recording of today? If you
Hmm.
still have outstanding questions, there's a number of you had very specific questions there that we'd love to follow up for you. Um, and we'll see if there's a need to do this again um, before the 12th. I think this is probably as far as we get. I would point you all to the department's website. Um, also, for all of you in active practice, I hope you're engaging with us. I hope you're on Breaking Tunes. I hope we hear from you. Uh, we had a huge uptake in applications for Ireland Music Week, which are with our judges at the moment, so we're very excited. Keep an eye on our activity, keep an eye on our resources. Um, we will send this out to you. Please feel free to share it with musician friends. And I just want to thank Suzette and Gustavo and Stevie. I don't know how they got through all the stuff they were feeding me through there. So thanks so much to you three for this. Um, uh, and I would wish you all the best, the very, very best of luck. in your applications, and we will send you out this video hopefully before end of day tomorrow. Suzette, would that be possible?
Yeah,
I think, yeah.
tomorrow would be, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So,
render.
best of luck, everybody, and mind each other, and hopefully this was helpful. Chat soon. Great. Good luck, everyone. Do I have to end this? Sorry. This is me talking in front of everyone now. I'm just, oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, I think you
Well
do.
done, gang.
Cool.